have it before or no?
Here it is. Now we got it.
Well, what am
That compressor right here. It's well, it's all of the
fans and stuff.
the fans, and it's that one. It's the compressor back here. I'm gonna run to the office and get new batteries for that mic because that just dropped from 4 bars down to 2.
Great. Good idea. Have you ever done this kind of stuff before?
What?
Have you ever done this kind of stuff before?
No, not on this scale.
Yeah.
65 foot?
I thought we had a whole bunch of others.
We had others, but they were all tangled. And
Nice.
I figured this would probably be the quickest.
And it will give us the most flexibility.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we'll just have you standing in the middle. So what do you think so far of Bethlehem Central?
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, I really like all the
All the
The
weird,
systems.
all the weird, oh, I thought you said all the weird people.
well, the weird people help too. They give it a little extra charm.
That's, no, it's not what I wanted. This is not. Got it yet? Now I did it.
And maybe it's because it's.
No, it's got it.
2.1.
Plus speaker, plus, where's my video? We have video?
Oh.
Yeah, we have video. Why aren't we seeing it?
You have to start the video.
Oh, something silly like that. 3D! Yeah, so I guess I'm hoping it gets a little bit less intense. What happened?
I think we might have to click that start video again since
What?
it thinks it disconnected.
Yeah, why? I wonder if it's just too long of a cord.
Yeah, that's probably the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh yeah, those USB. Well, that's a power extender, so
Is it?
But it would,
it should do it.
I can go back to the shorter line.
Is it not lighting.
But it is like in and out. We had picture until moved it.
You can unplug and plug again. But yeah, if it's gonna be wonky at all, that would be awful, so maybe we should just go with shorter.
That's worse than nothing.
Yeah.
Wonky is worse than nothing.
Yeah.
I'll go and get the.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, doesn't like it. Fine.
Not to add to you guys, but if I ask for a fan in here, that would add more sound for you guys. Probably not a good idea, right?
I just pulled the plug on that refrigerator because
We're just gonna
Watch out.
sweat it out,
Watch out,
hope
watch out.
it maybe makes it our fair meeting.
you can give little like
It'll make for a shorter board meeting.
you could maybe give out Oriental like those little fans that people
Oh, yes. Quiet.
they could have
I
like
can make a bunch. They're just like fold
we,
it, right?
we used to do that in elementary school. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
What about yeah, a little. See if Joellen will print out like 10 of them with a little BC Eagle on it.
I don't think she's coming, but
Right.
put it on her to-do list.
What do you say? Asian? No.
I don't know which is more.
All these marks are live, right?
I think Orient. I think Oriental might not be a PC word anymore.
No.
Think of it Oriental. Right?
Live. Live nights.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. You hear me?
I can. You're soft, but it's getting the audio off the top. So it's fine now. Let me turn my volume up. Okay.
Brittany, did you make sure to select the microphone, the boundary mic, and not the camera mic?
You can double check it, but I'm pretty sure the boundary mic was selected.
No, sorry.
From Zoom?
Yep.
Um,
Big screen is Zoom. Big screen is Zoom. So hit more. There we go. MXL AC44. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Just checking. That is the correct mic.
Yep. Can you guys, so now I guess can you all hear me fine? Like if you, can the board members hear me?
yes, you're very loud.
Oh, good. Okay, so if the board, that the architects are speaking, that's good. So then the question is, I mean, to me, that's the most important thing, especially if you're recording this, Brittany, because worst comes to worst, I could edit this together with Andrew's footage if for some reason it's not great on the camera.
Right.
So we'll just have to tell the board to speak up.
Josh says it sounds good.
Oh, all right. And you can hear. Okay. And all of these.
It's very muffled, but I think it's because of the size of the room and all the hard surfaces, and it's just not really easy to hear.
Okay. And maybe if somebody's sitting closer to the screen, it'll be clearer.
Yeah, can you sit in Holly's seat or Jody's seat, and maybe they can reiterate the question if there's a question.
Audio test from Holly's seat.
Yeah, it's definitely intelligible. It's not awesome, but it's I can hear.
Okay.
Now, Josh, hopefully you're watching this and you can hear me fine. So Andrew,
Right, Josh just said you're loud and clear.
Oh, he says I'm loud and clear?
Yeah,
Good.
everyone's loud and clear over
YouTube?
Over YouTube.
And you could, I guess what I would suggest, Andrew, is like, so right now, am I on top with regard to the way the cameras are lined up? Because-
On the screen.
Who's actually connecting, Brittany?
I don't know what you mean. Sorry. You are on the screen, and I'm sharing my screen as well, so I can see you. Maybe stop my
Yeah.
video.
And you're sharing your screen, okay. So, and if you stop sharing your screen, and we just had like a discussion, then I would be, then the architects would be kind of front and center.
Yes.
So I guess you can decide, what makes most sense during the middle of the meeting. If they're referring to slides, obviously you want to show the slides. So, okay.
Awesome.
Well, any other tasks we need to do?
How do I remove people that don't have their cameras on? How do you use that function? You know how you
Show only video presenters. So.
I'm disappointed in the sound. I can't believe.
Okay, why can't I find the show video only presenters?
Show what?
Show the video only presenters. I don't know why I can't see it. I don't know why I don't have that on Brittany's.
You need.
Under, how about the carrot under video? There we go. Yep.
I think it's under participants. No?
Is it? Hit the carrot by participants. Sorry. This guy, yeah, the carrot.
That's what she was in, I think. Aren't so do what Andrew did, I think that's kind of what you do, right?
Yeah, that's not like that.
So we could just do a quick
Yeah,
website.
Brittany does, oh, how about, right here,
Oh, that's,
that,
there you go.
hide not video participants,
There
yes.
we go.
Good. Three minds.
Dream.
So here's the other thing I wanted to do, just as a.
Three brains together form a functional brain at the end of the day.
After the daisy.
I want to see if I put the microphone down here, if it's any better. I mean, normally it's really great up top, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the setup that we've been using for the classrooms, so, I mean,
I know, it sounds not good.
I mean, you talked about the acoustics and.
Yeah, I
first
think that's
class.
the problem. So anyway, let's just do, I'm gonna go in the other room.
Do you want to?
And can you pretend you're Holly again, or
Sure.
Jody? Just sit here.
I'm back.
I'm sitting in Holly's seat. How can you hear me? Same?
Not good.
No?
Not good. I mean, it should be great. Can you like stand right in front of it? Like, stand right in front of that microphone. That just looks weird.
Test. Standing right in front of the mic.
Yeah, you sound pretty good now.
Well, because I'm on top of it.
I mean, the only thing is that if we cannot be positioned, yeah, I guess it can only be positioned on Jody's seat because of the. We do have an extender. We could put it on Holly's seat on her desktop because we have a couple of extenders there.
Or we can ask, I wonder if, all right, so it's only picking up sound from there, so maybe we could have Greg present from here and maybe be like the liaison. Can you hear me if you move slow? I don't know.
Here I am. What are you thinking?
Greg, I thought maybe if we could have Greg maybe presenting from like this space and it could be,
Okay.
Hey, Greg.
he could maybe be the liaison between.
Record this, Greg, too, if you were here.
It's not the worst idea.
What?
You don't have a setup for presenting.
We're having a hard time, the acoustics in this room are so bad for a Zoom call. So if they have questions for the architects, the closer we are to this microphone, the architect's gonna hear great. I'm in the other room pretending I'm an architect, that's me.
We just do repeat the question
Yeah.
in there?
Yes, but up there, where's the podium? Do we have one?
Maybe we're like down in that space over there.
We don't have a mic.
Is there a podium in that
I
other?
have a mic stand. Or what for?
Oh, I'm not, so I won't be, you're doing the slides?
Yeah, I think I can adjust the part.
Thanks for going into the text out.
Are you sure?
It's not there, right?
You think for sure there's a podium?
I think there is, yeah.
That's why I thought I had it on there. Too much for Andrew to. Too many logistics. Let's better yet. So.
You two families out, so we get a good view.
Is there something you'd like to adjust?
No, I think but this is this.
Part of it, I mean, the funny thing is, I mean, Andrew's position is now right here, and he doesn't have to be off to the side. So,
We will have a couple desks, so I do have some meeting, so if, yeah, we can go better, but.
other guests can speak, do you think?
I don't know, you
I mean,
might,
yeah, the supervisors and the board member maybe? No, it's great. Where was it? Oh, in that old one? Okay.
So,
We're thinking about putting right next to the TV. Hi, Mike.
Blair will be gone, so make sure you can see the
And then we can put this microphone.
so Jody can poke me if,
I
you go
don't
through more?
think you can do,
If I go there, I'm gonna go in the other room.
Yes, yeah,
You'll be able to hear me.
so.
okay. How about, D122, is that one set too, or?
They're already.
Okay, okay, they're already there. All right.
I moved things around earlier, and then it'll come off, so. Yeah, I think that's.
Hey Greg, can you repeat the question?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, you sound clear as a bell.
Okay, good, good.
But then if I talk to and muffle.
I can't hear you very, I cannot make out what you just said, Brittany, and that's the problem. So I just think board members are gonna have to ask a question, and Greg, you're gonna have to restate it if it's an architect answer.
And then, how are the architects gonna respond?
They can respond just like he is.
Yeah, I'm pretending I'm an architect, so they're just gonna talk.
And have they all accepted? Do you know?
That's a Brittany question.
Two have,
Okay.
Drew and Lisa.
So, I guess we're good.
Oh, good, we had. I'm gonna take the Cisco system.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was attached, like.
I found one in the other room.
Okay.
And it hides my jeans.
Did Andrew find another one?
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
sorry,
Good
Andrew.
man. All right. All right, I'm gonna switch places with Josh, I think.
There might be an attachment that you can, is there an attachment for the microphone on the shelf, Greg?
Way out there. I never use that. Oh, why not?
Are we, am I the only one doing a presentation?
Yeah. My only suggestion would be,
Oh, I can't point.
you want to use your, and I guess just move Jody, so I don't see.
Yeah.
Or scooch you back until you're already there.
In fact,
You need to attach that mic too.
it's funny, the laser does not show up.
There was a tiny bit.
This was there, not over there.
Andrew, I know you're all set up, but Ray also said you could position yourself center.
Then we might as well use D122, because I think.
You still can't get everyone in, okay.
We're not moving now.
Moving out.
couldn't walk over here, right? Did you lose?
What?
I couldn't walk over here because you would lose Mike, right?
Ray said you could still hear me from there, so.
You can take that mic off the stand. Or is it like?
I was wondering, yeah, because I was going to point to something.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
You think, I mean, if I project?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Will he need to take the wireless
No,
mic though?
That'll be fine.
I can just check Holly's mic up and I'll pick up off of that.
Well, here, so my other question, I'm having Josh connect again to the live stream. I just want to do a little test to see if we move the microphone from back to front, if it's any better, from back, and vice versa. Okay? So Josh is going to be the architect. I'm going to watch. And then, because he said it was passable, which I think I get better than that.
Hopefully in an hour then. Actually, I may come out. I'll go right here. Sit.
I mean, just for the audio, for the video, so. Or you can speak into it, you can put it here, pick up your voice.
Okay. What do you want me to say? Slide? Next?
I mean, hopefully I can follow along, sometimes they get lost, but yeah, it's like, whatever, I'll be ready.
Next? I'll say next.
Sorry, give me 1 second. I was doing.
So you, is it okay to take your mask off once you're up here or leave it on or what?
I would say leave it on.
Leave it on for the present.
But maybe
It's
we
fine.
can ask her to do that on the side. Just, if we've had. people-
Oh, I was meant for them to like,
Yeah, of course, we're going to
Maybe it's directly here, but.
oh,
every once in a while,
okay.
Got mine.
All right, testing, guys.
You don't have waters, do you?
No, I can get some. We can hear you, Josh.
All right, Brittany, you're definitely like really, really muffled.
Okay. I think
It's like you guys are underwater.
Greg is not near the microphone, so hold on. Let's pretend I'm Greg at the podium. Does that sound better?
Oh, that's much better. Yeah.
So we're just gonna have Greg reiterate the questions too if you were on the Zoom.
Yeah, that, I mean, you sound perfect right now.
Okay. And is Ray able to pick me up on the YouTube stream in my current seat?
Anyway, it sounds great.
Oh.
Great. However you have it, it sounds great. I can hear Josh absolutely.
I was gonna say, the screen sounds good.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we're good. All good. So I left your computer running, let me see what this connection is.
No, of course not. Why don't I my boss later?
All right.
I'm gonna put it in my corner.
So, oh, look at that. It's octopus thing. I don't like that octopus thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a little bit better.
So you ready?
Right there.
I'm gonna sit in that.
Meredith and Jonathan are gonna be,
On display?
all the architects can see. So, this is the way it is. All good. All right. We're ready. You just get an update today, Rich? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, here's a,
The next.
somebody. All right. And you are the new ELA? Yeah, this is, you had to do it, like, yeah, you gotta try every door. See what happens. Where you come from? Yeah, so I saw your bio, I shared it. This is Brittany Barrett,
Hi there, my name is Jen. I'm doing the borough secretary.
and that's Greg Nolte, the Director of Facilities.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
And this is Josh, he's one of our techs here. Well, Andrew is coming back, but I think you can probably, where do you want them to serve this, one of these hot seats?
Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll be on camera, so.
For sure.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
You gotta check your socks.
Oh, yeah. That extra roll.
We got Nick on. And Drew. Can you hear us okay? Yeah, Nick's saying yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes.
Good. And you said, yeah, that looks correct.
Nick, I didn't think you were attending.
You missed it, and.
I had called you and I
That's
was
right. Yeah.
not sure, so I
You
just
don't have
had,
to.
well, a little late now, I just did my hair and makeup.
Were you in the green room before you came on?
Absolutely. I had a rough day. I was talking to Ellen on the phone and we had an emergency. We had to carry
Oh,
a person out of the woods like
we should.
about a mile.
Yeah.
And it was not fun. Yeah, not good.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we are live streaming, so everything you say can be heard.
Okay.
Copy that.
Yeah, we start the live stream early to make sure that people know that once they connect, they can, the technology is working, they can see and hear. So, anyway. Over.
So Greg, are you zooming or are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in my jeans. I didn't realize.
Yeah, and then you're still in the corner of the shot, sorry. Can you get rid of these? Yeah,
We're over here, maybe?
that's fine.
Yeah.
Lisa?
Yeah, we're not even started yet, we're
Okay,
waiting.
so what?
No,
Send you
just
the
walking,
agenda.
just, lots of chipping here.
Okay, got it. Hi, welcome Jennifer, how are you? I'm well, thank you, how are you? Good, I'm Jody, the Rose Secretary.
Oh, and I got it.
Probably,
I got it.
Years, so you worked it. Yeah. Thank you. Welcome. We're ready to go. But I have it written down. Thank you. Good. Thank you so much.
I was expecting you. Meeting had started. But I think these are our two.
Yeah, I know Louise probably sent out a couple of reading something like that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you got written yet? Or you there? So-
Yes. Oh, so, hello, where is she? Where are you? Congratulations.
Well, no, I'm not the youngest anymore.
Yeah, I'm just like, I agree. Today, apparently. I know. I guess this is so I don't have to scoot my chair back in an awkward manner.
What?
I'll be very good. The math.
Oh, yeah.
Officially.
Come on, you can't.
What?
I actually had to get dressed today and go in.
Yes, exactly.
Can reconvene our meeting to open session. The board has been in executive session since 6 o'clock to discuss some confidential employee matters. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could have introductions.
Dave Hurst. I'm actually sitting next to Dr. David Hurst. Congratulations on your doctorate. Chris Meyer.
Wendy Sampson.
Willow Bear.
Jody Monroe.
Holly Dellenbaugh.
Meredith Moriarty.
Jonathan Fishbein.
Christine Beck.
And Judy Kehoe.
First up is approval of minutes. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the May 5th, 2021 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. B, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the May 18th, 2021 special board meeting of the annual budget vote and Board of Education election.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. And next is our superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank the community for overwhelmingly supporting the budget and the bus propositions. I'll turn it to Judy in a second just to talk about this next steps for the electric buses, to clarify that process. I'd like to congratulate Willow for staying with us for the next few years, and congratulations to Catherine, who's here with us this evening as well. Looking forward to working with both of you. And just Judy, if you could maybe comment on the next steps with the electric bus purchases in that whole process and where we are.
Sure. So the approval of the community of that proposition gives us the necessary legal authority to make those purchases. The proposition was contingent on the district obtaining the funding from NYSERDA, where we had applied for their truck vehicle incentive program grants, which would give us $200,000 per bus. Our application is submitted. We've been going back and forth with them on some questions. We expect to hear any day now, and we will announce that as soon as we do hear. 5 is the maximum. Of course, it's possible that they might award 2 or 3 or, something short of 5, but whatever it is, we're prepared to make that purchase. And then we will get the charging stations in place and have the buses here and ready to go as soon as they're off the manufacturing line.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to really thank Judy and Karim for all their work on the electric bus information. It was a lot of work, and I think it's great that we are one of the first districts to move forward in this, so thanks.
Thank you.
I'd also just like to remind everyone or give an update on masks in schools. We did send something out a short while ago. Many places now under the governor's new orders are allowing exemptions from wearing masks, both indoors and outdoors. However, schools are under different guidance, and so schools currently are still under requirements that masks are to be worn both indoor and outdoor on school property and at school events. So we will keep everyone updated if that changes, but that is the current guidance.
And Jody, just to clarify, school events includes athletic events.
Athletic events, any co-curricular, off-school property events, any school-sponsored events are under that guidance currently. Also in June, I will be offering some parent meetings. I'm also doing some staff meetings to respond to any end-of-the-year questions people might have, and I think mostly people may have questions about the fall. And what do we anticipate that looking like? I'm not exactly sure what that is because we don't have guidance. I'm hoping by June we'll have some indication of what will be required to do. So on June 8th at 10:30 and June 9th at 6:30 at night, we will be offering a couple parent forums. And as we've done in the past, families will be able to submit questions in advance that we hopefully can make sure we respond to as many as possible. So that's coming up, and we will send something out about those meetings. Also, we've partnered with Miller Young Pharmacy, and we'll be offering a vaccine clinic for students at the Jericho Drive-In this Saturday. I'd like to thank Dr. Young and his team, as well as Dr. Patel, who offered our prior clinic, who's also working with him to help offer this clinic for our families. We've also provided families with other options locally. We sent that out today in our communication, and we'll continue to let families know where they can get vaccine appointments. It seems to be relatively easy for people to get appointments relatively quickly, so that's good news. And at this point, I do want to introduce a couple individuals who are here with us this evening. Jennifer Murphy-Fries is our new K-12 Family Consumer Science, Health, and Phys Ed Supervisor, who's here to say a little welcome. And also Daniel Hash is our new K-12 ELA Supervisor. So we told them they could come early and leave early. So I don't know if one of you wants to say a little welcome first or not.
I guess I can go first.
Sure, thank you.
Right here, okay?
Hold on one second, you're going to get a microphone.
Okay, I can go up there, whatever's easier.
Hello? Hello? Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here in person this evening. My name is Jennifer Murphy-Fries, and I am thrilled to accept the K-12 Health, Physical Education, and Family Consumer Science Supervisor position here at BC. I'm so excited to be joining this community that is student-centered and works diligently to ensure students have the best overall educational experience possible. I am very much looking forward to developing relationships with students, family, faculty, and staff. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Niagara Falls, New York, and moved to the Capital District in 2009. I come from a large family, including a twin sister that lives in San Antonio, Texas. I have a bachelor's degree in physical education from SUNY Cortland, a master's degree in health education from Russell Sage College, and a certificate of advanced study in educational leadership from Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts. This June, I will be finishing my 3rd year at Albany Academy for Girls, serving as the Director of Athletics. Previous to this position, I taught K-12 health and physical education, as well as coached in New York public schools for 8 years. I enjoy staying involved in professional organizations in our area and beyond. I'm looking forward to learning and growing at Bethlehem Central School District. Thank you all again for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dan Hash. Again, I also want to thank the board and administrators for inviting me tonight to express my gratitude and excitement taking over the next position of ELA Supervisor K through 12. My biggest responsibility coming to the district is to support the amazing foundation you have regarding literacy and to build upon it. I believe you have developed a rigorous but attainable set of literacy goals in your strategic plan, and I intend to draw upon my experiences first as an ELA teacher, then as a member of the Office of State Assessment, and finally as a K-12 administrator to help to achieve these. So thank you again for your continued trust and support.
Welcome to both of you. Given Dan and Jen's presence with us now, and so they don't have to stick around, can I get a motion to move item 6C, professional personnel action items
So moved.
on the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following professional personnel action items 1 through 14.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That carries.
You're
Welcome.
official.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for
You guys
coming.
can scoot out
I was
now.
going to say, feel free to.
Congratulations. That concludes my superintendent's report also.
Judy, I know that we were with staff sort of tracking vaccination rates. Are we tracking student rates of vaccination as well? Do we have a list?
We, so the vaccine clinic that we held here, we had all the information, so we've entered that into our Health Master system. And we did send a note out to parents asking if they've vaccinated, if their child's been vaccinated elsewhere, to please notify the nurse's office so we can document that as well. So we'll do a follow-up after this weekend's clinic as well, although we should be able to get that. But I know a lot of parents have contacted me saying they were able to get appointments at Hannaford or SUNY, so we'll do a reminder, please contact us, because it helps, especially now many colleges are requiring it, so they often will contact, the students will contact the school over the summer and say, can I get my immunization information, and to have that moving forward. So I don't have exact numbers now, but I would say that we probably have 800 to 900 students who have at least received their first vaccine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
In terms of the reopening meetings, so the state is saying they're going to come out with something in June. Is that the best hope, or?
State
Guess?
didn't really say.
I don't know that the state has said that June is their
Okay.
deadline.
We would like some guidance by June.
Well, no, I'm just saying because
that would
as
be
a
helpful.
district, we can't make a plan until we're given the guidelines. So we're just,
Well, to some extent. So we do have the updated CDC guidance that was released in March sometime, and New York State pretty much adopted in April. So I guess in some regards, we do have some indication that it seems like distancing will be reduced.
So some of those things, the unknowns are the transportation piece with distancing, some of those pieces that have the 6-foot requirement still, for example, in eating.
Yes.
And distance between students and staff. What's not obviously part of that is come the fall, students pretty much in grade 7 through 12 will have had the opportunity to be vaccinated. And the current guidance from DOH is that if you are fully vaccinated, you won't be required to quarantine if there's an exposure. I'm guessing that will all apply to students as well. So I think that we do have some indication of what it might look like, but some of those pieces, we did send a letter, joint letter to all the local health departments and some of the representatives to please help, clarify some of that for the fall. The other piece that's an unknown is, will there be the request, or will schools be required to offer a remote option for students? And if so, what students would be considered for that? That's a big piece that we don't have any information on. So I'm hopeful that maybe by June, that's why I scheduled the meetings, that we'll have some more information on it. But if not, we'll do the best we have with what we have. We can't wait till, July and early August to plan. So we have to just start planning based on what we have.
Yeah, no, I was just curious in terms of can we use our cafeteria again? Is that a thing? Can we have 25 kids in a room again? Where are we on those things? So we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
The other wild card is the expiration associated with vaccines, and in the middle of the fall when everyone's vaccine needs a booster, and now it's a whole new.
Right. And there's been mixed information on that, how long that will be, so. Yeah, Meredith.
Oh, okay. Your name thing.
You lost your name.
Subliminal messages about your.
Where did it go?
It's just right in
Oh,
front
I
of the table.
see. In case people.
I was trying to be subtle.
Thank you.
We remember your name.
Thank you.
We know who you are. All right, I'm going to move us on.
Thanks, Meredith.
To unless anybody has any other questions for Jody. To the board report. I also wanted to thank the community for the support of the budget and all of the bus propositions. It ended up kind of being a little bit of a social event, I think, having people come out in person to vote. I saw a few people in the gym that I haven't seen in at least 9 months, if not longer. And I just wanted to welcome you, Catherine. We look forward to working with you on the board. And we're not quite done with you yet, but I did want to say a little preliminary thank you, Chris, for your service on the board.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to add?
I would.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
You were right about a social event of voting. I took my father to vote, and it was the first time, other than to see doctors, that he's been out to see anybody else. So he enjoyed it. But more importantly, the musical that was put on, I was able to figure out how to put it on our large screen TV. So I felt very good because I didn't have one of my kids tell me how to do it. I was able to do it. We had a wonderful evening. It was well done, well staged. My father thought he was going to learn a little bit more about Einstein. I had to explain that to him. But he enjoyed it, and I thoroughly would love to see that kind of performance. I understand there are rights issues, but if there are ways to stream in the future or to do this kind of one-on, I think it's a really good thing, because it's not something we've done before, but it really was very nice that if you can't get out, it's something that the people in the community can't get out. And it's something that I think would be a very positive thing. The other thing I was able to do was I looked at the art exhibits. that were online. In the past, I've been able to go to the concourse where often we have a lot of our young artists exhibiting their work. This time that wasn't available, but online it was really well done. We have a lot of talent in our school, and just a big thank you to all the art teachers and to the student artists themselves. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Jonathan. I just wanted to thank the community again for the positive vote for the budget and also the electric buses and the GPS, all bus propositions. I'm so excited about these electric buses. I know people from other districts all of a sudden are like, wait, what? Bethlehem's getting electric buses? Is this something we can do in the Northeast? I think a lot of people have not even thought that this is possible to do in the Northeast. So I'm really excited that we're a leader in this. When the buses do finally, roll off the factory, I would love for us all to go see them and see what is this going to look like? How is it going to sound? Make a real big deal of it, because it is a huge deal. And, I know there's the state of Minnesota or something has naming contests for their snowplows. I think it'd be really fun if we had a naming, school-wide naming contest for each of these buses. They could each have Sparky or Electric Boogaloo or something like that. I don't know. But I think we could have a lot of fun with these buses, and I just can't wait to see them.
Actually, that's a very cute idea.
It's a great idea.
The elementary kids, I think, would have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
The inaugural.
And a ride along.
Naming the buses.
Absolutely. I think we should have a ribbon cutting ceremony and everything. I think it'd be great.
But you may be interested to know that the model of the bus that we would purchase is called a Julie, not spelled Julie, but like the electric unit, Jouley.
We could have some fun with that.
You could have some fun with that, indeed.
Thanks, Meredith. Anybody else?
I just wanted to say, it's nice seeing everybody come out to sporting events as well. You can see that the community's their spirits are picking up, and I'm one of them, so I'm enjoying getting out and seeing a few things outside. And then last night at the budget vote, it was nice. I saw a few community members sticking their head in the new auditorium, and it's just so beautiful, and I'm excited when it's finally open and we can all come in and enjoy the new amenities, because it's going to be great.
Thanks, Christine. Anybody else?
I'll just add that I'll second the sound quality on the streaming for the high school musical was really great. It sounded great. It looked great. Very glad that went off, and I'm looking forward to seeing the middle school musical as well. So good luck to the middle school kids doing Your Good Man Charlie Brown, which is a fun show to do. So looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been a good week as far as everybody coming out and doing the vote and getting outside, and it's very positive. We've had a very positive week here. So yay.
Thanks, Wendy.
Do we know, Jody, how many less people came out and voted this year, or was it from last year?
Well, last year we had a lot because it was all paper ballot, but what was the total from 2 years ago, Judy? We were up.
2 years ago was about 2,400 out at the polls, so we were pretty much spot on with that for this year.
But last year was what, 5,000?
5,000.
Which is kind of crazy. I wish we could still utilize that in some way, but.
As long as they can be counted by hand, I think that Jody would be okay with that.
I know.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
I understand, but it was, just to see that turnout was amazing.
Yeah.
There was a little over 3,000, was it?
2,400.
2,400.
Oh, 2,400.
Round numbers. Yep.
What was the number this year?
About 2,400.
This year?
Yeah, 5,000 last year.
And in 2019?
Yeah, including the absentees, we were up to 2,550 and change. Yep.
And what were the figures for 2019?
About the same.
About the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year with all the paper ballots. We had the fight. Yeah.
That's an anomaly. Yeah. But
Okay. Next up on our agenda is our presentation this evening. We are having a presentation on the 2020-2021 what am I talking about? The 2021 capital project overview.
Okay, thank you. I'll kick things off and then turn it over to Greg on this. So we announced that we were getting ready to start this, and we've been slowly rolling out the information on that. And our initial meetings, we're trying to familiarize you with the broadest elements or the most expensive elements of the program, and the highest priority items as well. In that 5-year facilities plan, we've ranked the items that absolutely should be done because the items have reached the end of their useful lives. Obviously, there's a lot of elements that aren't too glamorous, but they are necessary. So there are roofing elements, paving elements, boiler work, and things like that, renovations of bathrooms. But there were also some more visible projects that we started with for these presentations. So we did have close to $47 million worth of projects identified on the entire 5-year facilities plan, which is available on the website. We have what we're calling the short list of about $35 million in items. And what we wanted to focus on tonight was to answer the questions that the board had raised at the last meeting. So just a quick reminder on the next slide, because of the capital reserves that we have built up over the last few years, and because of our high building aid ratio that the state funds us at 70% of the eligible costs, we believe that the entire project will be budget neutral, which means that our local share is going to be fully offset by the use of those capital reserves. So it's a very great, strong position to be in to enable this work to be done with the lowest possible impact to the community on their pocketbooks. If you go to the next slide, that's just a quick breakdown of all of the projects, just so you can get a sense of the scale. And again, go to the website and you can drill down and see the specifics for each of those buildings. So that's the quick recap of where we're at. I'm going to turn it over to Greg at this point, and he will answer the questions that you had on the synthetic turf and then also on the middle school tech classrooms.
Thank you, Judy. Let me first apologize for my casual attire from the waist down. I thought we were doing this meeting via Zoom.
At least you have pants on.
It's okay, Greg. We don't.
So there were, as Judy mentioned, there was a number of questions from the board about synthetic turf at our last meeting that we promised that we would answer. So tonight, connected remotely, we have Ed Keplinger and Lisa Weinberg. They are our landscape architects that are working with Ashley McGraw, and Drew Jones as well is on the line. So any questions that I will not be able to answer, they should be able to answer. Okay.
Oh, I see somebody.
That's true.
Okay, so the proposed location of the field is actually the largest component of the bond project at the high school. The design team, along with district stakeholders, pretty much identified that the existing grass field number 2, that's shown on the yellow arrow, was pretty much the best location for the field due to its proximity to support facilities and the parking lots. As you can see, it's just off of Ewing, and you'll be able to see this pretty much from Delaware Avenue. Again, it's not the stadium field that you can see along Van Dyke. So why synthetic turf? You know, all of our fields are heavily used in the spring, the fall, even the summertime. A synthetic field will expand our ability to use these fields throughout the entire year. Some organizations will even plow off snow to allow users on it. And of course, the field will be used by both phys ed and athletics. It will minimize the need to have practices on non-district locations, which you actually saw this year, or this past year, we used quite a bit. It'll reduce the times that we will have to, if not eliminate, that we would have to shift a game to a different location or cancel games due to wet weather because the fields are just too wet. So to recap, just generally, the proposal will include bleachers, lights, scoreboards, a concession area, a press box, and safety curtains, a mid-level curtain that will allow multiple practices to happen on the field at once. So, general construction of a field. I had a little red pointer that I was going to point at things, but it doesn't show up apparently on the screen. So, basically, you rough grade the area. Your first layer is it's a larger stone. It's your subbase, and that's where your drainage is. Then we would install a basically smaller stone called a choker level right here. And above that, you have what they call a shock pad and then the actual artificial carpet. Now, within that carpet, they basically put an infill of it can be sand and small beads of rubber, commonly referred to as crumb rubber. And this helps with traction and cushion on the field. Grooming will happen. Field grooming will happen throughout the year by the O&M department. This is needed. It'll basically clean out any debris that will accumulate in the rubber, and it will also provide a constant depth on the field. So here are some answers to your questions from the previous presentation. With the advancements of artificial turf over the years, lifespans have been extended. Turf companies typically offer an 8-year warranty, but a project like this, we would require an additional 4 years, so we would have a 12-year warranty. With proper maintenance, this field should last about 15 years. So the rubber infill is typically removed, those little beads that I talked about, is removed during artificial turf replacement. The infill that gets removed typically is sent to a facility, and that it has its foreign particles removed, it's cleaned, and then it's repackaged and is used for new fields. So it's very probable that the infill material that we will get will have been recycled from another field. There are some companies that are recycling the actual carpet into other products, the actual green, grassy part of it. General cost to replace an artificial turf field is about $750,000 to $950,000. And that replacement includes the disposal, or if the company is recycling the old carpet, the installation of the new carpet, and of course that crumb rubber layer. The drainage that I showed you earlier that's underneath would not have to be replaced at this time. That remains good. So there are different types of crumb rubber infill, but I'll discuss that on a later slide. SBR is the most common, and there's also EPDM rubber infill. These materials are not considered solid waste, and this is as per New York State DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation. So in turn, this crumb rubber is not considered hazardous waste or regulated waste. So there is really no standard for the disposal of artificial turf, and costs vary. But to specifically answer your question from the last presentation, we estimated disposal costs of about $125,000 to $150,000, and that's assuming about 100,000 square foot complex. Okay, and that's probably what we are proposing.
So is that on top of the cost in number 3 on this slide, or is
No.
is it
No,
part
it is
of that number?
included.
Okay.
And that's the cost, number 3 is the cost to replace, but since we're not replacing now, what's the cost to install new?
So I believe that the entire line item for everything is about $5 million. And that is
Okay.
identified on the plan.
Maybe you'll get to it, but will you get to the cost of the equipment to clean? Because you mentioned that it would be taken out, the fill would be taken out. Is that coming up?
Yes, so within that $5 million cost we can purchase the grooming equipment necessary.
So
It's
it
basically,
includes-
it's
It
like
includes
a,
the grooming equipment.
I'm sorry, what?
It includes, the 5 million includes the grooming equipment.
Correct, and that would be purchased as part of this project.
Thank you.
So there are different types of the fill material. These provide, again, cushion and traction for the users. SBR, as I mentioned, is the most common and is referred to as crumb rubber. It's the most widely used in synthetic fields at all levels. And basically, this is just recycled tires. We have alternative materials, one being EPDM. It's basically a virgin material that is not made from recycled tires, but it's basically manufactured the same, it's in the same process as SBR. Envirofill is large round acrylic coated sand particles. Brockfill is actually wood, engineered wood particles. That, however, is a relatively new product without much testing, and so we don't really know how it performs over time and how long it'll last. At the last meeting, somebody mentioned cork as an infill. That's not necessarily used in this northeast region. Apparently, rain and snow tends to float the material, so it's not something that we would spec for our project.
So were you saying if you use one of the alternative sources, it would reduce the 5 million to whatever, so if it was $5 times?
No, it would actually,
It would
it would increase.
We're adding it to do, okay.
Yeah, so on that slide, I gave square foot costs, okay? We're probably going to build an 80 to 100,000 square foot facility. The actual field itself might be about 50,000 square feet, but when you put everything else around it and the sides, when you see the square footage, that's in addition to the cost of the SBR. So if we wanted to go with EPDM, it's going to add probably another $100,000 to the project.
Maybe I missed something, but if the SBR is made out of old tires, how is it not a hazardous material? Because tires are declared a hazardous material.
I don't know. Maybe I'll let Ed or Drew respond. I'm not sure if tires, I don't think, are considered hazardous. I think.
Well, every time you go and you replace your tires, there's a hazardous waste charge.
Well, there's a disposal fee.
Disposal for
Right.
recycling, I believe.
Can Ed or Drew comment upon this?
Yes, I can. This is Ed Kaplinger. Good evening, everyone. There's a tire disposal fee. That's not, the tires are not considered hazardous. That's so so the tires aren't littering the landscape.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My question about the fill is just this, is that, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Like, there are other districts right in our area that all have these, so what are they using? Like, because I'm sure, I know North Colony did the research, this was a topic there. I know other districts have done this, so like, what are they using? Because I think that might solve our problem, and if they have past practice on this.
Ed, can you speak to the number?
We've been putting in turf fields for over 15 years. We've done these studies for other districts. They've all ended up going in with the SBR rubber. We've done the investigation into other products, but we've always fallen back to the SPR rubber. Back when the moratorium occurred back in 2008, there was a district that went with the Tiger Turf. It was a sand infill system, and they kind of look back and regret that they went that direction because it's just not the same playable surface as the SPR rubber.
Thank you.
As long as we're on the topic, can I just ask another question about the crumb rubber? I'm envisioning little pieces of tire, mixed in with green grass. Is this something that's underneath the artificial grass, or is it kind of mixed in? Like, are the athletes going to be exposed to the crumb rubber if they make contact with the grass?
Yes, it's mixed into the grass. It's
Okay.
like your thatch layer.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but is it something like, is it going to be coming up, little pieces of rubber?
No, I mean, it's there, it's weighted. Gravity will hold it down, but if you watch football games, when they're going out of bounds and they drag their foot and you see this little rooster tail, well, that's the crumb rubber, kind of popping up and then going right back
Okay.
down.
Okay.
And can you just, I'm not sure I understand what the EDPM is, like what it is made out of.
Okay.
Can you clarify that?
It is ethylene propylene diamine monomer rubber. It's just roofs. There's EPDM roofs. It's just a product, but it's a virgin product. So instead of me taking tires and grinding them up, I'm going to take this material and create my little beads of rubber.
Okay, so both the EDPM and the SBR are both rubber?
Rubber products,
Just
yes.
one comes from tires, the other one comes from, they just make it?
Yes.
Okay.
With some chemicals.
Okay, so next slide. So there were, we had some conversations at the last presentation about health concerns related to synthetic fields. There was mention of PFAs. There are tens of thousands of synthetic fields across the United States at all levels. Federal and state agencies have the power to regulate these fields and have not restricted their use. There is no definitive research or conclusions that synthetic fields pose any health concerns. If there was, then they would not be allowed. There was mention of off-gassing at the last meeting. Many things off-gas. When you get new carpet, that off-gasses. It's the level of what is being released that is evaluated from a health standpoint. As you can imagine, that this level is more scrutinized if you are indoors without ventilation. But there was a 2008 New York State Department of Health report that concluded that organic compounds emitted or off-gassed from synthetic turf or the infill material, that crumb rubber, do not pose an inhalation or dermal absorption health concern for athletes or users. And the dermal is the touching of it. So
Do we know if all the chemicals that are used or carcinogens, if they're all like approved chemicals that are used in there? Because not all are regulated. So is it a product that the chemicals that are used in the production of it are regulated by those agencies?
So
Do we
Ed,
know?
did you hear that question?
No, I didn't hear the question.
As far as what is used to make the synthetic turf, do we get product cut sheets so we know exactly what is in every part of it?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, you would get all the product literature available that shows all the products that go into the turf.
Do you know if they're all approved chemicals that are used in the production of it? Like, we'll get a list, but are they all regulated?
I don't know if I have that answer. Do you have the answer, Lisa?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what the question was.
If you have a product list of the chemicals that are in the turf, do you know if all the chemicals used in the creation of it are all approved, regulated? Thank you. I had it right.
Oh, yeah, I believe that's information, we may already have that. And they do a lot of testing on those materials. We have a couple from one of the turf manufacturers, so we could definitely forward that on.
Okay, that would be great to just, I want to see what's regulated by the agencies.
Yeah, and I think we can discuss the difference between regulated, accepted. Okay.
The reason I bring this up, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo, but it's very interesting, to see what DuPont did. And carpet was, one of the products where it emitted cancerous carcinogen agents. So I just want to make sure that whatever we bring here is regulated and approved. If that's something we
Okay,
move
we
on
can
with.
get that for you.
And Greg, we did, the information that I did get from the turf manufacturer specifically said it did not contain any PFAs. Their actual carpet contained no PFAs at all.
Okay.
What about carcinogens?
What about carcinogens?
Well, if it contained carcinogens, I don't think the SED or DOH would allow us to use those items either.
I hope not.
Yeah, well, just forward us the list, that would be good. I think
Okay.
it would be helpful.
Okay, next. So that same report I mentioned concluded that there were no major differences in the overall injury rates between natural grass and synthetic turf. So the consistency or inconsistency of a field can influence injuries. Artificial turfs are groomed regularly and have a consistent playing surface. Whereas natural grass, could be lumpy, you could have bare spots or poor grass coverage or puddling. So basically inconsistent surfaces tend to pose a greater health risk to our users and our athletes.
Greg, you mentioned regular grooming. Does that, is the maintenance cost less on a artificial turf? Or, because I would think it might be, but I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful segue into the next slide. So yes, there are operational savings here. As you can imagine, there's no mowing, there's no trimming, seeding, pest control, field marking for athletic games, for watering. So these are some industry standard ranges here that for maintenance of an artificial field, the cost is in the range of $5,000 to $10,000 per year to maintain it, while grass fields range from $30,000 to $50,000 per year. All right, so the amount of cost savings is dependent upon the level of maintenance a district or a facility puts into its fields. It's difficult for us to quantify an exact savings since our district maintains many fields and properties, and we don't use our grounds staff just for fields. They do a lot of other things. So we were thinking that the range could be anywhere from about 75% to 80%, and I'm talking both labor and materials when you compare maintaining a synthetic field versus a natural grass field. So Nick and Sonia, in his previous life, they had a synthetic turf field, and he did not do, it just didn't need a lot of maintenance on it. There's just not a lot of work to do on it.
Would there be a way to quantify it a little more, like, with a little time, just to kind of think of how many labor hours or how much, like, actual, like to get more of a idea of the cost savings?
Well, so the numbers I gave you are kind of like an industry, all right?
But was that with their staff, like handling, is it with their O&M
Yeah,
staff, or are
this
they
is-
hiring people to maintain? Like, I didn't know what went into that 30 to.
It didn't go into that detail, but it kind of gives you that range of, 5 to 10 for a synthetic and then 30 to 50. So, if I look back, are we as a district, and again, I haven't attached labor numbers because it's very difficult because I have my guys go out and mow fields and fine, we're going to go over and it's going to take us an hour and a half to mow field 2, but they're also doing a lot of other stuff. And how many times do we maintain it? It would be difficult to quantify, but there would be savings, okay? So at this point, that kind of concludes the synthetic turf portion of the presentation. Before we move on, do we have other questions for either myself or Ed?
Could you just go back to, I think it was slide 9, just quickly? I just want to make sure I understand all the parts. So the very bottom is rock, big rock,
Yeah, it's not big, right? So this is your drainage area, okay?
but that's rock.
Yeah, it's like a, yeah, it's.
And then the next layer up is also rock.
It's a smaller stone, and that's your choker level,
But it's
okay?
still-
And that helps you fine grade before you put on your pad and
And
then
then-
the actual.
But so the next one is, it's still smaller rock, and then the pad, what is the pad made out of?
Ed, can you speak to the choker pad?
The pad is, the pad is made from rubber, and it has perforations in it to allow water to drain through it.
Okay.
And the function of the pad?
The pad is for cushioning, it's for player safety. It provides overall uniform, safe surface beyond what is in the standard rubber with the inside, that's contained within the turf.
Okay.
Like a shock absorber type?
Yep.
Okay.
Does the choker pad give you some cushion?
It does give, the choker, or the choker stone?
I'm sorry, the pad.
Oh, the pad provides a lot of cushioning, yes.
Okay.
And the pad is reusable. The pad is good for 2 turf installations. So when you go out in 15 years to replace the turf, the pad would remain in place. You would only be replacing from the back and up.
Basically from here up.
Okay, thanks.
The choker pad never needs to be replaced if it loses some.
The choker is a choker stone, and what the choker stone does is it's a finer stone mix.
This one.
That does provide good drainage, but you use the choker stone to fine grade the field so you get a nice, smooth, consistent, level surface to provide the pad, for the pad.
No, but the pad doesn't need to be replaced. Is that what you're saying?
No, the pad does not need to be replaced.
It never loses the cushiony or the drainage?
No, the choker stone is below the pad. So
The
from
pad-
I'm talking about the pad.
The pad, he said, needs to be replaced after the second carpet goes down.
Oh, okay. I
So
missed that
it
part.
does need to be replaced, but just not the first or second, and not the first time.
So you could probably get approximately 30 years out of that pad.
Okay.
Right.
Do we know how much we paid, or, I don't know, Judy, you might know this. Did we just re-drain all those fields? We did a lot of work on those fields, and not the last auditorium bond,
Yeah.
but the one before that.
Yeah, we did.
How much did we spend?
We did a sand master, which basically it was this machine that basically cut slots into the sand, into the turf, and basically dropped sand in it. And that sand was connected, those rows of sand were connected to a different drain to basically help with drainage on that. It didn't take the field out of commission for a very long period of time, and we were able to use it later that fall.
Do we know
When
how
was
much?
that done, Greg? How long
That was
ago?
done, I believe, in the 2013, maybe it was even, it might have been the 2013 bond.
Do we know how much was spent on the drainage?
For that field specifically, no, because that was part of
The big project.
part of the larger site work contract. When we replaced a lot of the main lines that help all those fields out.
Do we know, what did we spend on all of the drainage? Do you remember?
No, I don't. Because that was a multiple bond endeavor. We didn't do all the drainage in like the 2003 bond. You know, we picked away at it in each bond.
In the last slide, you indicated that there's going to be no field marking. But when we talked about it previously, we indicated that lots of different sports are going to be using this field. So my impression is that there's different types of markings based on different sports. If you have a lacrosse goal or a soccer goal, there would be a different marking. So how is that going to work?
Ed, can you speak to the various markings?
Usually the fields are marked for football, soccer, girls lacrosse, and boys lacrosse. We've even done recently a softball field overlay with a backstop in the corner of the field. So we added another sport to a field. One of the things that when we're talking about cost savings, one of the big savings is that you have one field that can be used, with one stadium that can be used multiple times over in an evening. There could be a 4:30 a modified soccer game and then a 7 o'clock football game. Saturday you can stack up 2 or 3 events and practices, so you can get a lot of use out of these fields.
But how does that work? If you have a football end zone painted, that's a different marking than what you would need
So
in
you
a
use,
lacrosse goal.
yeah, so we had conversations with the athletic director. We would not mark this field out for football, okay? Those lines, it takes away, I mean, it's going to be well too busy. You do different colors to identify the different types of sports, all right? This field can be painted, though. We talked about that. So if we want a football game on this, we could mark the field out ourselves.
Okay.
The intention's not for football, though. It's for lacrosse and soccer right now.
And field hockey.
And
field
field
hockey.
And PE, yes.
And what? And what?
And phys ed.
Oh, phys ed, yeah.
When you say you can paint the field, are you talking about a permanent paint?
No.
You're talking about something that can be removed?
Yep.
Is that for each game, or do you have permanent markings of some sort on the field?
Yeah, so for those sports that we just mentioned, we would have permanent markings on those fields. Football would be the only temporary ones if we wanted a game on it that we would paint ourselves on the field. At least that was the initial thoughts of our little stakeholder group, at least at this point.
I just want to thank you for all the effort you put into this. You know, Bethlehem is 10 years behind in terms of this, and we need to get caught up. We went through this. I can tell you, we went through the same thing in North Colony, and all the concerns. You know, we had the same conversations, and right now, the field in Shaker is used from 6:30 in the morning till 9 at night, and that field was only used 16 times a year. Like 16 events a year were held on it, and now 15 events a day are held on it, and it's a game changer. I know whatever. You can go with the pun or not, whatever. But it's such a critical piece. I mean, I'm the guy in left field in this, but I would argue that we need 2 turf fields. I mean, just because they are used, and it's not even like, boy, you just like the lacrosse kids, no, like this is a gym class. This is a community event. You can't. You know, so many things get canceled in this town because Del Mar is a giant sheet of clay and everything, you know, is sopping wet, as opposed to, you know, you go out into Schenectady where there's a little more sand and suddenly events can be occurring a lot more. And so I think this is a great opportunity. I'm very excited that we're moving forward with this. This is awesome.
If you look at the previous presentation, we listed all the schools, and there's a lot in this area. At this level that have synthetic fields. I know that CVA just approved their synthetic turf field, and eventually they're going to put a dome over it. Is what I heard. So we'll hold on the dome for now. Okay. So. Other questions? Okay. So switching gears to the middle school project. Due to the consolidation of the middle school fax program and the renovations that's going to happen to those spaces, we need to move the middle school tech classrooms. Take advantage of this move. The middle school administration's looking to provide a better and a more conducive learning space for the 6th grade computer literacy program, Engineering Basics 1 and 2. These spaces will have interactive whiteboards and technology and will provide the possibility of an expansion of these programs. Specifically, they're in classroom. We're looking to renovate in the back. I think it's classrooms 125, 127, and 129. All right. So from now through July, we will have additional public meetings, if necessary, to refine the scope and the costs. This timeline has the board finalizing the scope and the cost on August 11th. A 45-day notice is required after adoption, which would place the public vote at around September 28th. This is the earliest we believe that we could have a vote. So just to clarify that the vote is going to be dependent upon when the board approves the project. Okay. We will have regular updates next. On the district website for a full list of the proposed projects in the 5-year plan. Residents and the board are encouraged to go there as well. And it's up and running as of today. So next steps. Is there additional information that the board desires for an upcoming future presentation? So our plan for moving forward, at least at this point, includes conducting what we're calling stakeholder group meetings to review pretty much some of the key project components. We have about 10 different groups that are planned. We already have the members, and we plan on meeting before the end of the school year. We'll continue to have public conversation and discussion with the board until the project is defined. And solicit whatever feedback we can. We are reviewing the project lists with each building principal, so they are aware of what is proposed at their school. And as a thought, if the board is, if you're okay with this higher level overview that we just completed, do we use a subsequent meeting to possibly take the top 5 components or projects at each building and present there? So I'll open it up for questions, conversations.
What were the big issues when the bond vote went down the last time on the turf field? I don't remember, I'm good. What was the biggest concerns? And I know there was a split on 2 and that we thought had something to do with it, but I think they just took the turf field out for this.
Yes.
Yeah, it was separated out because there was a lot of controversy about the use of the field. So if you remember, the proposal at that time was to put it on the stadium field where the football field is, and the track was somewhat limited, and many of the sport groups, the soccers, couldn't use that field because it wasn't wide enough. So there was a lack of support by the athletic groups because of the location that was proposed. With this proposal, it allows all those sports who could not have used that proposed field to be able to use that. So it encompasses the soccers, the lacrosse, the field hockey. And I believe field hockey was the only one that could have used that one because of the size. So that was part of the issue, that the athletic groups were not on board with the proposal. It was really geared toward football primarily.
So will we have a problem with the reverse this time, where if football's not going to be using it?
Well, football could use, so football has a nice field, they have the bleachers now, its use, it works for them, but if they needed, let's say their field was too wet for any reason, this field would allow football to have a game on it if they needed to. So it really works for every team.
I just don't want to see the teams like, okay, well, football, that field's wet today, we're going to cancel this game so we can accommodate or, yeah.
But that was really the big issue, is that the athletic groups were not all behind it.
We were concerned that the both issues would go, everything would go down if they were connected.
Right,
So we
they were
separated
separated.
out to make sure that we got what we knew would go through versus what had become a controversy.
Right.
And now you're saying you don't see that as an issue, so you're willing to put it all together.
I think that.
Well, there's also, you know, I talked to the head of the athletic association back then, and they felt that the reason it went down was because it wasn't included. So if it went as one, it would get passed. But there was controversy at the time too, I think, over risks, you know, safety issues, which I think have been alleviated since then. I think there's been a lot of more studies done.
There definitely wasn't the research that there is now.
That there is now.
Yeah.
So I don't think that combining it would be a big issue, but if there's feedback from the public, that may be a possibility if we're getting it too much.
I would also say this to answer your question, Christine. I think that 10 years ago, I think it was seen by many communities as a luxury item, you know. Why are we, you know, we should be funding teachers in schools and we say we're suffering, and then you put this beautiful turf out there, how dare you? And I think what's happened over time is the communities have gotten it and they see how much use they get out of it, that like everybody in the community can use it. You know, because you were talking about like teams competing over it. Well, you're absolutely right, but like in a normal grass situation, you couldn't put team after team after team on that same field. You couldn't stack them for 4 hours in a row or 5 hours in a row because you just have a pile of mud at the end.
Yep.
But on this, you can. So you could have, you know, a 3 o'clock practice, a 5 o'clock practice, have a 7 o'clock practice, and all those teams can use it, and it's not going to deteriorate the field. And so there can be multiple teams that access it.
Well, I think the argument's still there, though. It's, in some ways, it still is a luxury item. If we're looking at budget outlook and, you know, in a few years, which we just got through budget season, we were just talking about that. But at the same time, we're talking about gym PE classes using it and it being versatile during the day as well, during the school day. So I think there's some academic aspects to it.
If this were just like a boost for varsity sports, you know, I think I would say, yeah, okay, maybe it's luxury, but like the fact that it can now be used all day. I mean, coaches were keeping their kids, their gym kids off the premier fields because they didn't want to ruin them, and now you can use them. So now it's you know, it's a very nice setting for PE teachers.
Not allowing phys ed classes on our game fields, and of course, this one is closest to where most of the students are coming out, and again, pushing them farther out towards the woods, you know, towards Elm Avenue. Well, it takes longer to get there, less instruction time. So they're very excited about this. And I do remember with that bond, there was lots of conversations about wants and needs. Is this a need? Is it a want? And you're right, at that time, we were maybe at the beginning of the curve, and now we're at the end, so.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we had an idea of what it was and that we're not going to be facing the same type of.
Yeah, it's good to not repeat the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also looks like we're in a better financial position for this bond as well. There's a
Yeah,
big
overall.
plus.
Yes.
There's a big plus there.
Well, especially with, as Judy said, it's really budget neutral.
Going forward, and I don't know if this may need to wait until after you have your stakeholder group meetings, but I would be interested in hearing more detail about the theater project at the middle school, because that's the other, it seems like the other really big piece of this bond.
The
and I know-
LMC is a pretty big
And the LMC,
piece too, at
yeah.
the middle school.
So both of those, just kind of really what is anticipated, a little bit more detail.
And we actually had, over the past year, year and a half, a number of meetings with that large, or those large groups, and we have detailed notes, so we could expand upon that on the next presentation.
That would be great.
Is it beneficial that we touch upon each school for the next presentation, as far as what might be going on there, some of the largest components? Just to give you a sense. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to be touching every facility.
I think so.
helpful
I mean,
to
I
hear.
think
Just
it
the
would be
bigger
helpful.
scope items.
Yes.
Yep.
Not just for us, but for the community, because then they know
Right.
what's happening.
Because we just put a lot of money into the high school, and so they want to see what
Yep.
else we're going to be doing. I think the middle school should certainly be next, and then.
Yeah, and
some
we
of the
could
other
show,
projects as well.
you know, some of the things we've done in this last bond, and, you know, for example, restrooms. They seem to always be on the list. We could do some before and after shots. This is what some of them will look like. So that would probably be helpful.
Yeah. Can we send out a communication to the community about the information that you're saying is now live up on the website about the details for the proposed project?
Yeah, so I know we've done, once the scope is identified, I know we've sent a flyer out to the community.
We can send something out, though, just to let them, refer them back to the website to see some of this and
Yeah.
do some ongoing communication about it.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think the earlier we can start letting people know that we're talking about this, and that way if the community has questions about some of the projects, they can let us know.
And in terms of other additional information that we would like, I know that you mentioned a boiler in some building, I'm not sure which, but I'm really interested in energy efficiency.
Yep.
So if we could have a lot of information about that boiler and any other similar projects that we're doing, I'm not sure if we have any other things like that.
Yep.
Regarding a couple of different, if we have different options, I really want to hear a lot about the efficiency of each of those.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Greg?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And thank you to our virtual attendees. Next on our agenda is our recognition of submitted public comment. As usual, the comments that came in, and there were 3 of them, will be attached to the minutes, so everybody can take a look at them in their entirety. We had one email that came in from Susan Broccoli with respect to the senior class and senior class events. And, I know I've seen some information about some of the events that are, they're starting to pick up some of the planning for a senior dance or prom, I think at the Times Union Center, and then the graduation,
Yep.
so.
And there is a website specifically for the seniors and senior families to go to that has the current information on there that they
Okay.
can go to. And there's a form on there if they have questions that go directly to Mr. Domel as well.
Great.
Is that on the school
High school
website?
page.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
We had an email that came in from Bill Davis requesting that schools be open 5 days a week for in-person learning for the rest of the school year. And I know, Jody, you've discussed why that's still a challenge with respect to eating and transportation and where teachers stand in the room. And I know things are changing daily.
Right.
With guidance that we're getting, so.
Right.
I know that's where things stand right now. And then the last email came in from Marcine Lee, and she had 2 questions. One about the cost of the Bridging the Divide workshops. And Dave, I was hoping maybe you could respond to her on that. And then she also had some concern about bathrooms. I think in response to the conversation that we had at our last meeting about gender-neutral bathrooms and students using bathrooms with their preference. And I know, Jody, and if you wanted to comment on that, I know it's been happening for...
Yeah, for both bathrooms and locker rooms. This was a discussion in one of the board meetings, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, where students can use whatever bathroom or locker room they identify with. So usually what happens, the process, a parent may contact the nurse or a counselor, or the student might, depending on the age, and will ask about that. So if there's any, and we have shared that out with staff, so we haven't had any issues with it.
Okay.
So,
Great, thank you. Next, item 6, action items. Our first item A, a resolution to certify the 2021 school district budget vote results.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. B, finance action items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following finance action items 1 and 2.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. D, support personnel action items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following support staff action items 1 and 2.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. E, other action items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following action items 1 through 3.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. It is policy number 2210. It should be a housekeeping issue, but when the edits were done, Roman numeral 5, bonding of personnel, we took out Roman numeral 6 and then did not renumber the succeeding paragraphs, or yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, it goes from 5 to 7.
Yeah. So I don't think I think we can vote on it and just have it noted that it should be a housekeeping issue to
I think that
resolve.
makes
I don't
sense to
think we
me.
have to go back.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. 7, future meetings and events. Our next board meeting is on Wednesday, June 2nd, anticipating an executive session starting at 6, and the regular board meeting, the open meeting, starting at 7. Monday, June 7th at 5:30. There's an audit committee meeting. Wednesday, June 16th, we have a policy committee meeting at 5, anticipating executive session starting at 6, and regular board meeting at 7. And then Tuesday, July 6th, will be our organizational board meeting at 7, but anticipating executive session at 6. Seeing no need to go back into executive session, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.